The mission briefing was clear. Impossible. 5 enemy snipers were dug into positions across a 3-kilometer urban sprawl, and they'd been picking off American forces for 6 days straight. Every conventional approach had failed. Thermal imaging couldn't penetrate their hides. Counter-sniper teams couldn't get angles. Even drone strikes had come up empty because these shooters moved like ghosts between kills. The SEAL team had lost 2 men trying to locate just one of these positions. The brass was ready to call in heavy artillery and level entire city blocks. But that would mean civilian casualties, collateral damage that would turn a tactical problem into a strategic disaster. Then someone mentioned Lena Foster. The SEAL commander's response was immediate. No one hunts snipers in the dark. It's suicide. These aren't amateurs we're dealing with. They're trained professionals who've been doing this for years. Sending one person after 5 entrenched enemy snipers in an urban environment with 0 visibility is tactically insane. Lena's response was quieter, but just as definite. I'll have all 5 down before sunrise. 4 hours later, when dawn broke over the city, all 5 enemy sniper positions were silent, permanently. And Lena Foster was already gone, disappeared back into whatever shadows had produced her, leaving behind only questions and a level of precision that shouldn't exist outside of fiction. Before I show you exactly how she did it, drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from and hit subscribe. Because what happened in those 4 hours of darkness rewrote the rulebook on urban combat operations. Now let's get into it. The Tactical Operations Center buzzes with controlled tension. Lieutenant Commander James Reeves stands over a digital map of Sector 7, a dense urban district that's become a killing field for American forces. Red circles mark the approximate locations of enemy sniper activity. The word approximate is doing a lot of heavy lifting. 6 days, Reeves says, his voice carrying the exhaustion of a commander who's been bleeding personnel without being able to strike back. 5 confirmed enemy snipers, 14 American casualties. We can't move supplies, can't evacuate wounded, can't operate in 3/4 of this sector, because the moment anyone shows themselves, they get dropped. His SEAL team is assembled around the map. Chief Warrant Officer Marcus Webb, the platoon's senior sniper, looks like he hasn't slept in days. Staff Sergeant Patricia Chen, their tactical intelligence specialist, has dark circles under her eyes from staring at surveillance footage that reveals nothing useful. These aren't lucky shots, Webb says, pointing to the casualty markers. Every hit has been deliberate, precise, and followed by immediate displacement. We've tried counter-battery fire. They're gone before rounds impact. We've tried drone surveillance. They don't move during daylight. We've tried thermal imaging. They're using environment-matched thermal blankets that make them invisible to infrared. Petty Officer Davis, the youngest member of the team, speaks up. What about going in after them? Clear the buildings, root them out? Chen shakes her head. They're spread across a 3-kilometer area. Each position has multiple exit routes. By the time you clear one building, they've displaced to another. It's like trying to catch smoke. Then we level it, suggests Petty Officer Rodriguez. Call in fire support, take out the entire block. Reeves's jaw tightens. There are still civilians in that sector, families who couldn't or wouldn't evacuate. We start dropping bombs on residential areas. We lose the information war, even if we win the tactical engagement. The room falls silent. Every option has been discussed, analyzed, and rejected. They're dealing with an enemy that's mastered urban sniper tactics, that understands how to exploit the American military's reluctance to cause civilian casualties, that's patient enough to wait days between shots if necessary. That's when the door opens. Lena Foster walks in without announcement, without escort, with the kind of confidence that comes from knowing she belongs anywhere she chooses to be. Late 20s, average build, with dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She's wearing civilian contractor clothes, cargo pants, tactical boots, a nondescript jacket that could hide any number of tools. What's unusual isn't her appearance, but the way every operator in the room immediately focuses on her. There's something in the way she moves, the way her eyes track the room's occupants and exits simultaneously, that marks her as different. Who the hell are you? Davis asks, the question everyone's thinking. Reeves straightens. This is Lena Foster. She's been attached to our operation by someone with enough rank that I stopped asking questions. Lena doesn't offer to shake hands. She walks directly to the tactical map and studies it with the kind of intensity that suggests she's not just looking at terrain, she's reading it like a language. 5 snipers, she says, not a question. Operating independently but with coordinated timing. They're not random shooters. This is a trained team working a deliberate pattern. Webb moves closer, professional curiosity overcoming skepticism. You can tell that from a map? I can tell that from the casualty pattern. Lena's finger traces lines between the red markers. Your losses aren't random. They're timed to maximize psychological impact while minimizing the shooter's exposure. 1 kill every 14 to 18 hours. Always during shift changes or supply runs. Always when your people are most likely to be moving in predictable patterns. Chen pulls up the casualty timeline. The pattern Lena described is there, clear as day once someone points it out. So they're professionals, Rodriguez says. We already knew that. Doesn't help us find them. Lena finally looks up from the map, her gaze settling on Reeves. I can find them, and I can eliminate them, but I need to do it my way, which means minimal support, zero oversight, and complete operational freedom. The room erupts in objections. Webb is the loudest. You want to go after 5 trained snipers alone in an urban environment at night? That's not tactics, that's suicide with extra steps. Counter-sniper operations are team efforts, Chen adds. You need spotters, backup communications, extraction support. Lena cuts them off with a raised hand. Everything you just described is doctrine for conventional operations. This isn't conventional. Your enemy is using tactics specifically designed to defeat standard counter-sniper approaches. You need someone who operates outside that paradigm. Reeves studies her carefully. What makes you think you can do what my entire platoon hasn't been able to accomplish? Because I don't think like your platoon. I don't move like them. I don't hunt like them. Lena's voice is matter-of-fact, not boastful. Your team is trying to use superior technology and coordination to overwhelm a dug-in enemy. I'm going to use their own tactics against them. And what tactics are those? Webb challenges. Patience, deception, and the willingness to become the thing they're hunting. The silence that follows is different from before. Less frustrated, more contemplative. Every operator in the room has enough experience to recognize that Lena Foster is proposing something fundamentally different from standard operating procedure. Reeves makes the command decision. You have until dawn, 4 hours. If you can locate and neutralize these snipers, we can finally move forward with the larger operation. If you can't, he doesn't finish the sentence. They all know what happens if another day passes with American forces pinned down by enemy fire. I'll need one thing, Lena says. Complete radio silence from your team. No communications, no movement, no activity that could alert the enemy that something's changed. They're watching your patterns just as carefully as you're watching theirs. You're going in with no comms? Davis sounds incredulous. How will you call for extraction if things go sideways? Lena's smile is slight and doesn't reach her eyes. Things won't go sideways, and if they do, comms won't save me anyway. She walks toward the door, then pauses. One more thing. When dawn comes and this sector is clear, don't send anyone to investigate the enemy positions. Just mark them as neutralized and move on. Some things don't need detailed after-action reports. Then she's gone, leaving behind a room full of special operations professionals who aren't quite sure what just happened. Webb looks at Reeves. Sir, you can't seriously be letting one person... I've seen her file, Reeves interrupts, or rather, I've seen the 3 pages they were willing to show me, and every other page was redacted so heavily it was basically a black rectangle with a classification marking. The person who sent her has credentials that go higher than anyone in my chain of command. What's her background? Chen asks. That's the thing, Reeves says slowly. According to the unredacted parts, she doesn't exist. No unit history, no training records, no service jacket, just a notation that she's authorized for special operations support in situations requiring unconventional solutions. Ghost program, Webb mutters. I've heard rumors about units like that. Operators who work outside normal command structures handle missions that can't be officially acknowledged. Rodriguez is less convinced. Ghost program or not, sending one person against 5 entrenched snipers is still suicide. Reeves returns to studying the tactical map, but his mind is elsewhere. Maybe we're about to learn that some people hunt differently than we were taught. Lena moves through the darkness like she was born to it. The city after midnight is never truly silent. Distant generators humming, dogs barking at shadows, the occasional vehicle on a far-off street. But the sector she's entering has a different quality of quiet, the kind of silence that comes from fear, from civilians who've learned that movement draws attention, and attention draws death. She's carrying minimal gear. A custom rifle broken down in a case on her back, a sidearm, night vision equipment that's more sophisticated than standard military issue, and tools that wouldn't appear in any supply catalog. No radio, no GPS beacon, no electronic signature that could be tracked or intercepted. The first sniper position is 3 blocks into the sector, in a building that overlooks a main supply route. According to intelligence, this position has claimed 4 American casualties. The shooter operates from somewhere in a 6-story residential structure with 60 possible firing positions. Lena doesn't approach the building directly. Instead, she moves to an adjacent structure, gaining elevation slowly, using interior stairwells that keep her invisible to external observation. She's not rushing. The enemy snipers have established patterns of behavior over 6 days. They're confident in their positions, secure in their techniques. That confidence is their vulnerability. She reaches a rooftop 3 buildings away and sets up an observation position. Through her night vision scope, the suspected sniper hide resolves into layers of information. She's not looking for the shooter. He'll be too well concealed for direct observation. She's looking for the signs of human presence that can't be completely hidden. 20 minutes of patient watching reveals what she's searching for. A window on the 4th floor that's slightly more open than the others, creating better airflow. A pattern of pigeons that avoid landing on one particular section of roof. Small indicators that someone has been moving through this building in ways that disturb the environment's natural state. Lena assembles her rifle with practiced efficiency. The weapon is a precision instrument built for a specific purpose, eliminating targets at medium range in urban environments with minimal noise signature. The suppressor extends the barrel length, but the trade-off is worth it. Sound discipline is everything in sniper warfare. She doesn't aim at the window she's identified. That would be amateur thinking. Instead, she studies the building's layout, visualizing the interior space based on architectural patterns common to this region. If she were setting up a hide in that structure, where would she position herself to maximize field of fire while maintaining concealment? The answer comes from understanding both terrain and psychology. The 4th floor window is too obvious. It's what investigators would find on a preliminary search. The real position is likely 1 floor up, using the obvious hide as a decoy to draw attention away from the actual shooting position. Lena shifts her aim to a 5th floor window that shows no obvious signs of occupation. But when she studies it through her scope at maximum magnification, she sees the telltale indicators. A section of a curtain that hangs differently than the others, suggesting something is disturbing its natural drape. The faint outline of something that breaks the room's interior shadows in a way that suggests manufactured concealment. She settles into her shooting position, breathing controlled, heart rate steady. The rifle becomes an extension of her body, the scope an enhancement of her vision. But she doesn't fire. Because the first lesson of the hunting snipers is that they're hunting you back. She maintains her position for another 30 minutes, watching not just the suspected hide, but the entire building, the adjacent structures, the street below. She's looking for patterns of observation, for the subtle signs that someone else is watching the same space she's watching. That's when she sees it. A different window, different floor, showing the briefest flicker of light that could be a reflection off glass optics. There for a fraction of a second, then gone. The enemy sniper is using a multi-position setup. The 5th floor hide is his primary shooting position, but he's got an observation post on the second floor where he can watch for threats while remaining concealed from the obvious angles. Clever, professional, exactly what Lena expected from someone who's survived 6 days of American counter-sniper attention. She makes a minute adjustment to her aim, not to the shooting position, not to the observation post, but to the stairwell between them. Based on the building's layout, there's only one route between those two positions that provides adequate concealment. When the sniper moves, and he will move because that's what staying alive requires, he'll have to expose himself for approximately 3 seconds while transitioning between floors. Lena waits. 1 hour passes. The city continues its restless, not quite sleep. Her position becomes uncomfortable, then painful, then something she stops noticing because discomfort is just another variable to be managed and dismissed. Then movement. The barest shift of shadow in a stairwell window. A shape moving upward, probably conducting a routine position check before the pre-dawn hours when visibility changes and new opportunities present themselves. Lena's crosshairs settle on the window. She doesn't track the movement. That would introduce variables into her shot calculation. Instead, she picks the point where the target will be, visualizes the timing, and prepares to press the trigger at the precise moment when geometry and opportunity intersect. The figure appears in her scope. Male, military age, carrying a rifle. 3 steps visible through the window. Lena fires on the second step. The suppressed report is barely louder than a harsh cough. The bullet travels 180 meters in a fraction of a second, passes through the window glass, and strikes the target center mass. Through her scope, Lena watches the figure crumple. No dramatic Hollywood death, just the immediate cessation of movement that comes when the human body's operating systems are catastrophically disrupted. She doesn't celebrate, doesn't feel satisfaction or remorse, just notes the result, breaks down her position, and moves to the next target location. 1 down. 4 to go. Dawn is still 3 hours away. The second sniper position is more challenging. This shooter has been operating from a commercial district where damaged buildings provide countless hide positions and rubble-filled streets make approach difficult. Intelligence suggests this is the most experienced of the 5 snipers, responsible for 6 kills, including a decorated sergeant major who should have known better than to expose himself. Lena approaches the area from underground. The city's infrastructure has been damaged by years of conflict, and the sewer and utility tunnel system offers routes that don't appear on any map the American forces are using. Lena spent 2 hours before the mission started studying municipal records from before the war, identifying passages that would still be navigable. She emerges in the basement of a collapsed department store 2 blocks from the suspected sniper zone. The space smells of stagnant water and decay, but it provides concealed access to a vantage point that conventional approach routes would never reach. This time, she doesn't set up for a long observation period. The second sniper is too experienced, too careful. He'll have escape routes planned, timing patterns established, discipline that won't be broken by simple patience. Instead, Lena becomes bait. She moves through the rubble-strewn street with deliberate carelessness, creating the sound signature of someone who doesn't realize they're in a sniper zone. She's wearing civilian clothes, moving with the gait of someone exhausted and desperate, maybe a local resident trying to scavenge supplies, maybe a displaced person looking for somewhere safe. The performance is calculated to trigger a response. If the enemy sniper engages, he'll reveal his position. If he doesn't, she'll learn that he's more disciplined than expected and will need to adjust tactics accordingly. She makes herself visible near a destroyed vehicle, pausing in a position that offers multiple shooting angles from the suspected sniper positions. To anyone watching through a scope, she's an easy target. Vulnerable, unaware, nothing happens. 30 seconds, 60. The sniper is either not present or too professional to take the bait. Lena continues her performance, moving to a new position that requires the sniper to adjust his aim if he's tracking her. She's watching the environment with peripheral vision, not looking for the shooter directly, but for the environmental disturbances that shooting creates. A puff of dust from a muzzle blast, the reflection of light off a scope, the disturbance of air from a bullet's passage. Still nothing. She's beginning to think this position is unoccupied when her peripheral vision catches something that doesn't belong. Not in the obvious positions, not in the damaged buildings where any reasonable sniper would set up, but in the rubble pile itself. The enemy has built a hide inside the debris. Probably spent days constructing it, camouflaging it, creating a position that looks like random destruction, but actually provides perfect concealment and an ideal firing position. It's brilliant. It's patient. It's the kind of fieldcraft that takes years to master. And now, Lena knows exactly where he is. She continues her performance, moving erratically, presenting herself as a target while actually maneuvering to a position where she can engage the rubble hide. Her rifle is still broken down in her case. She can't risk assembling it while potentially under observation. Instead, she uses her sidearm. The movement is sudden and explosive. Lena drops into a prone position behind cover, draws her pistol, and fires 6 rapid shots into the rubble pile at the precise angle where her target assessment indicates the sniper's position should be. The shots aren't aimed at where she can see the enemy. She can't see him at all through his camouflage. They're aimed at where geometry and tactical logic dictate he must be if he's going to have adequate field of fire while remaining concealed. For 3 seconds, nothing happens. Then, return fire erupts from the rubble. Not accurate fire, not the controlled precision of a sniper who's prepared and positioned, but the wild defensive shooting of someone who's been compromised and is trying to survive. Lena doesn't return fire immediately. She tracks the muzzle flashes, updates her mental model of the hide's layout, and waits for the inevitable moment when panic overrides discipline. It comes when the enemy sniper tries to relocate. He can't stay in a hide that's been discovered, can't maintain his position when someone knows where he is. He has to move. When he breaks from the rubble, Lena is ready. Her pistol is already aimed at the exit point her tactical analysis predicted he'd use. When his head and shoulders emerge, she fires twice. The sniper drops and doesn't move again. Lena conducts a tactical reload and approaches carefully. The body is that of a male in his 40s, wearing locally made camouflage that perfectly matches the rubble environment. His rifle is a well-maintained Dragunov, and his gear shows signs of professional maintenance and care. She doesn't linger, doesn't collect intelligence or document the scene, just confirms the kill and moves on. 2 down, 3 remaining. Dawn is 2 hours away. The 3rd and 4th snipers are operating in proximity to each other, according to intelligence. They've been working the industrial sector, using the maze of warehouses and manufacturing facilities to create overlapping fields of fire that make this area effectively impassable for American forces. Lena approaches this challenge differently. 2 snipers working together requires different tactics than isolated shooters. They'll have communication protocols, mutual support agreements, overlapping observation sectors. She can't simply eliminate them one at a time. The moment the first dies, the second will know something's wrong and will either flee or fortify his position. She needs to take them simultaneously or in such rapid succession that neither has time to react. This requires understanding their relationship. Are they equals working as partners, or is one subordinate to the other? Do they maintain constant communication, or do they operate with independence between scheduled check-ins? Lena spends 40 minutes observing the industrial sector from a distance, not looking for the snipers themselves, but for patterns of behavior that indicate how they're coordinating. She watches for synchronized movement of birds that might indicate someone relocating, for patterns of environmental disturbance that suggest habitual routes between positions. What she finds is more sophisticated than expected. The 2 snipers aren't just working together, they're working in carefully timed rotation. While one maintains overwatch, the other rests or relocates. Then they switch. It's the kind of professional teamwork that indicates formal training and extensive experience working as a unit. That discipline makes them dangerous. It also makes them predictable. Lena identifies the rotation pattern by watching the subtle changes in the sector's ambient environment. When both snipers are in position, the industrial area has a particular quality of stillness. When one is moving, there are minor disturbances. A door that doesn't close quite flush, a window that's open when it was previously closed. The pattern repeats every 90 minutes, which means she has a narrow window when both snipers will be stationary and one will be in a lowered alert state. She positions herself in a water tower that overlooks the industrial sector. The elevation provides angles on multiple suspected hide positions, and the water tower itself is damaged enough that occupying it would seem foolish to anyone conducting counter-surveillance. Through her scope, she methodically searches each building, each shadow, each potential position. She's not rushing. The snipers have survived this long by being patient. She'll match that patience and exceed it. The first hide reveals itself through thermal signature. Despite all their precautions, the human body generates heat that has to go somewhere. Even with thermal blankets and environmental camouflage, there are telltale signs for someone who knows what to look for. She identifies a position in a warehouse loading dock. The thermal bloom is slight, but consistent with human presence. The position offers excellent sightlines on American approach routes. The second hide takes longer to find. This sniper is more careful, more thoroughly concealed. But eventually, Lena spots the indicator she's looking for, a section of roofing that's been repaired recently with materials that don't quite match the weathering of the surrounding structure. It's the kind of detail that would escape casual observation, but stands out to trained eyes. The second sniper is on a rooftop 200 meters from the first position. Close enough for mutual support, but separated enough that a single attack couldn't neutralize both. Lena calculates the geometry. 2 targets, different elevations, different distances. She'll need to take the first shot at the closer target, then transition and acquire the second before he can react to the sound of gunfire. The timing will be critical. A suppressed rifle isn't silent. It's just quiet enough that the sound doesn't immediately register as gunfire to someone who isn't specifically listening for it. In an urban environment with ambient noise, she might have 3 to 5 seconds before the second sniper realizes what's happened. She'll need to use every one of those seconds. Lena settles into her shooting position. The rifle is perfectly stable, her breathing controlled to the point where each exhale creates a natural pause in her body's movement. She's done this hundreds of times before, in training, dozens of times in actual operations. But it never becomes routine. Every shot is a unique problem with unique solutions. Her crosshairs settle on the warehouse loading dock. She can't see the sniper directly, he's too well concealed, but she can see the thermal signature indicating his position. She's aiming at the center of that signature, trusting that a human body will be positioned there in a way that makes this shot lethal. She presses the trigger. The rifle reports with its characteristic quiet crack. Through the scope, Lena watches for confirmation. The thermal signature changes immediately, shifts, blooms brighter as the body's temperature regulation fails, then begins to cool. Target 1 neutralized. Lena transitions to her second target with mechanical precision. Bolt worked, new round chambered, scope swinging to acquire the rooftop position 200 meters away. Through her optics, she sees movement. The second sniper is reacting to something, maybe the sound of her shot carrying across the industrial sector, maybe the loss of communication from his partner, maybe just instinct honed by staying alive in a profession where most people die young. He's moving from his concealed position toward an exit point. Not panicked movement, but tactical withdrawal, someone who's trained and disciplined enough to disengage from a compromised position. Lena leads him by 5 feet, calculating his trajectory based on the route he's taking. She's anticipating where he'll be in the time it takes her bullet to travel. The shot is released smoothly. The bullet crosses 200 meters of open space in less time than it takes to think about it. The sniper stumbles mid-stride, and even from this distance, Lena can see the way his body loses coordination. He takes 2 more steps on momentum alone, then collapses on the rooftop. Target 2 neutralized. Lena breaks down her position immediately. 2 shots from the same location is too many if you want to survive counter-battery fire. But as she descends the water tower, she knows there won't be any return fire, because there's only 1 more sniper out there, and he doesn't know yet that his team has been cut in half. 3 and 4 down, 1 remaining. Dawn is 50 minutes away. The fifth sniper is the hardest to find because he's the smartest. While the other four have been operating with patterns that could be analyzed and predicted, this shooter has maintained near-perfect operational security. His kills are spaced irregularly. His positions show no discernible pattern. He's the ghost that keeps American forces paralyzed with fear. Lena has saved him for last, not because he's the most dangerous. They're all dangerous, but because eliminating him requires a different approach than simple tactical superiority. She needs him to come to her. Lena positions herself in the exact center of the sector, in a building that offers no tactical advantages whatsoever. It's exposed, difficult to defend, and has limited escape routes. Every training manual would call it a terrible position, which is exactly why she chooses it. She sets up her rifle in a window that faces east toward the approaching dawn. Then she fires a single shot into an empty street. The suppressed report echoes slightly in the pre-dawn stillness, not loud enough to wake sleeping civilians, but distinct enough that any professional listening for it would hear. Then she waits. The logic is simple. A professional sniper hearing gunfire in his operational sector will want to investigate. He'll want to know if it's enemy activity, friendly forces, or something else entirely. And there's only one way to investigate gunfire. You move toward it, carefully and professionally. But you move. Lena has positioned herself so that any approach to her location requires crossing sight lines she's covering. The building she's in is exposed, yes, but that exposure works both ways. She can see anyone trying to observe her position. 30 minutes pass. The sky begins to lighten in the east, that pre-dawn glow that comes before actual sunrise. If the fifth sniper doesn't show in the next 20 minutes, Lena will have to withdraw and try again tomorrow night. Then she sees him. Not the sniper himself, but his mistake. A window that's cracked open in a building that should be abandoned. The opening is small, maybe 2 inches, but it's enough to provide a shooting position while maintaining concealment. And more importantly, it's a position that didn't exist 10 minutes ago. Lena has been scanning that building repeatedly, and that window was closed. Now it's open. The fifth sniper has responded to her bait and has positioned himself to observe her location. The tactical problem is now reversed. He thinks he's hunting her. He's watching her position, probably waiting for her to reveal herself or create an opportunity for him to take a shot. He doesn't realize she's already identified his position. Lena doesn't move from her window, doesn't give any indication that she's detected him. Instead, she continues to slowly scan the sector with her rifle, creating the appearance of someone searching for a target. But her real attention is on that cracked window. She's memorizing every detail of its position, calculating the angle and distance, planning her shot in minute detail. The challenge is that she can't see the sniper through the window crack. He's too disciplined for that. She'll be shooting at a position she believes he occupies based on tactical logic, not at a target she can actually see. It's the ultimate test of marksmanship, hitting a target you can't observe, based purely on understanding where they must be if they're conducting counter-sniper operations professionally. Lena makes her decision. She stops her scanning pattern and holds her rifle perfectly still, aimed at an empty street below. She's presenting herself as a target that's distracted, that's focused on something else, that's vulnerable. The invitation is clear. Take your shot. For 30 seconds, nothing happens. Then, Lena sees the window crack widen by an additional inch. The enemy sniper is preparing to fire, adjusting his position to get a better angle. That adjustment is his final mistake. Lena transitions from her false target to the cracked window in a movement she's practiced 10,000 times. The speed is inhuman, the precision absolute. Her crosshairs settle on the center of that window crack, approximately where a human head would be positioned if that person were aiming a rifle through the opening. She fires. The bullet crosses 250 meters and passes through the narrow window crack with millimeters of clearance on either side. Through her scope, Lena sees the window crack suddenly become wider as something inside impacts it from behind. Then, stillness. She maintains her position for another 2 minutes, watching for any sign of movement, any indication that her shot missed or that there's a backup shooter she hasn't detected. Nothing. The sector is completely silent now. The kind of silence that comes when all threats have been eliminated. Lena breaks down her rifle for the final time tonight and begins her extraction. As she moves through the lightening streets, the eastern sky continues to brighten. Dawn is 15 minutes away. She's completed her mission with time to spare. The Tactical Operations Center erupts in controlled chaos as the sun rises. Reports are flooding in from observation posts across the sector. No enemy sniper fire during the night. No movement in the known hide positions. The area that's been a death trap for 6 days is suddenly, inexplicably, quiet. Reeves is on the radio with forward positions, trying to get confirmation of what his instincts are telling him. Webb and Chen are analyzing overnight surveillance footage, looking for any indication of what happened. "Sir, we're getting reports from multiple OPs," Davis says, excitement breaking through his professional composure. "The sector is cold. Patrols are moving through without taking fire. It's like the snipers just vanished." Webb pulls up thermal imagery from the overnight hours. "I've got anomalous heat signatures at 5 locations, all consistent with human remains that have been cooling for several hours." Reeves feels something cold settle in his stomach. 5 signatures, 5 locations corresponding roughly to known enemy sniper positions, and Lena Foster is nowhere to be found. "She did it," Chen says quietly. "1 person, 4 hours, 5 targets. Rodriguez looks like he's been struck." That's not possible. Even with perfect intelligence, even with ideal conditions, you can't clear that many positions that fast. It violates every principle of urban combat. "Maybe it violates principles we know about," Reeves says. He's staring at the tactical map, at the red circles that marked enemy positions, and now represent confirmed kills. "Send reconnaissance to those locations. I want confirmation and documentation." The reconnaissance reports come back over the next hour, each one the same. Enemy sniper position identified. Occupant deceased from precision gunshot wounds. No signs of struggle or collateral damage. Professional kills conducted with surgical precision. The 5th and final report includes a detail that makes Webb go pale. Target eliminated through a window opening approximately 6 inches wide at a range of 250 meters. Shot placement suggests the shooter calculated target position based on tactical probability rather than direct observation. "That's not marksmanship," Webb says. "That's something else entirely. That's shooting at a level I didn't know existed." Chen pulls up Lena's brief personnel file again, staring at the pages of redacted information. What program trains people to do this? What kind of operations require this level of capability? Reeves doesn't answer, because he doesn't have answers. What he has are results: 5 enemy snipers neutralized, 0 American casualties, and a sector that's now open for operations after being closed for nearly a week. A message comes through on his secure terminal. It's brief. "Mission complete. Asset departed AO. No follow-up required. Recommend no further investigation." The message isn't signed, but the classification marking is high enough that Reeves knows questioning it would be career-ending. "Well," he says finally, "I guess that's that." "Sir, we can't just let this go," Davis protests. "We need to understand what happened. We need to learn from this so we can replicate—" "We can't replicate it," Webb interrupts. "Whatever Lena Foster is, whatever program she came from, it's not something we have access to. And based on that message, it's not something we're meant to have access to." The room falls silent as the implications settle over them. They've witnessed something that exists outside the normal spectrum of military operations, something that works in shadows deep enough that even special operations units don't see it. Rodriguez breaks the silence. "She said some things don't need detailed after-action reports. I guess this is one of them." Reeves makes a command decision. The official record will show that enemy sniper activity in Sector 7 ceased due to successful counter-battery operations by SEAL elements. No additional details required. Is that understood? The team acknowledges, each operator knowing that what they witnessed will become one of those stories that circulates through the community, half believed, half dismissed as exaggeration, but never quite forgotten. 3 days later, Lena Foster is sitting in a cafe in a different city, in a different country, wearing civilian clothes and reading a book like she's on vacation. Her rifle case is checked into storage at a secure facility. Her operational gear has been cleaned and returned to whatever equipment depot supplies operators who don't officially exist. Her phone buzzes with a message. Next assignment pending. Stand by for briefing. She doesn't respond, just finishes her coffee, leaves money on the table, and walks out into the sunlight. Somewhere, another impossible mission is being planned. Another situation where conventional forces have tried everything and failed. Another commander will be told about an asset that can accomplish what shouldn't be possible. And Lena Foster will disappear into whatever shadows are needed, do whatever work is required, and vanish again before anyone can properly document what happened. Then he returns to his work, training the next generation of snipers, passing on what knowledge he can while keeping the classified parts locked away where they belong. Some stories are meant to stay in the shadows. Some capabilities are too dangerous to acknowledge, and some operators are legends precisely because no one can prove they exist. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to hear more powerful stories of brave women in uniform.